And here's why. After making just 33% of their threes in game one, the Heat shot 49% from deep in game two, hit twice as many contested threes as they did open threes. And Jamal Murray hit 10 assists in both games, but he had 26 in game one, just 18 in game two, as he attempted 7 fewer shots, had 35 fewer touches. And after dishing out 14 dimes, had a triple-double in game one, Nikola Jokic had just 4 helpers in game two, where he dropped 41. Hey, Eric Spoelstra, is there something to this strategy?
This guy's an incredible player. Twice in 2 seasons, he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer. That's not how they play. They have so many different actions that just get you compromised. He has our full respect.
Okay, so you heard Spoelstra there, Wendy. Are you buying it? It seems like their strategy, let Joker score, not be so much as a playmaker. What do you think?
Yeah, Eric Spoelstra sees press conferences in the playoffs as a combat zone. Judge the Heat more on their actions than Spoelstra's words. Their actions were that they wanted to make Nikola Jokic a passer. I want to point out, though, the Nuggets were awesome on offense in Game 2. By the efficiency measures that we use often in the NBA, they were better in Game 2 than they were in Game 1. But I do think that there is something that takes away from the Nuggets' overall performance when Jokic is a passer only. They are almost unbeatable when he gets 10 assists. When he gets under 10 assists, you have a fighting chance against them. That's what the Heat are hoping for in this series. That was 1,000,000,000% their strategy in Game 2. It gave them a fighting chance, and they took it, no matter what Eric wants to tell you on camera.
You know, the interesting thing, Monica, is obviously Jokic is better when he's setting up his teammates. It's almost like the modern-day Magic at the center position. I looked at Magic Johnson's 3 top scoring games in the postseason. All of them losses. Talk to me about this strategy. What do you think?
Well, I think this is almost the definition of team basketball, and Jokic is the fulcrum of team basketball. And by no fault of their own, hoopers, all of us are guilty of it. When the ball is going in offensively, you give better effort offensively. And so I think what you saw in Game 2, per Michael Malone's post-game comments, was guys basically pouting a little bit because they couldn't get into a rhythm, and that was translated into poor effort on the defensive end. So when Jokic has those double-digit assists, that means everybody's involved, they're moving. There's a certain snap, crackle, and pop to the offense for the Denver Nuggets, and that bodes well, not only for him because he enjoys that part of his game, but it means the entire team is involved, and that's something that is fundamentally important to the success that the Nuggets have had.
And when he is setting those guys up, they seem like they're at their best. Meanwhile, for the Miami Heat, it seems like they're at their best when they're shooting threes. Take a look at this. During the playoffs, when you talk about the Heat and shooting three, they are shooting here 39% from three after ranking 27th during the regular season. That's an increase of 4.8%. It's the largest from the regular season to the playoffs by any team in the three-point era. And Miami has certainly caught fire deep in these playoffs. So I guess, Wendy, is shooting the three, you think, going to determine this series?
Yeah, Brian, I don't really want to say what I'm about to say. There's so much that goes into a playoff run. There's so many nuances that have gone into adjustments that the Heat have made an individual player performance. But really, this is a three-point shooting story. The Miami Heat defensive numbers are basically the same as they were when they were a 44-win, number 7 seed to start the playoffs. The difference has been they're making their three-pointers. They went from a poor three-point shooting team to an awesome three-point shooting team. The difference between Game 1 and Game 2 was they hit their threes. And I wish I could tell you that I think that the series will be determined by 10, 12 other things, but I honestly believe it's about the three-pointer.
You know, we talk so much about their defense, Monica. Is it just as simple as Miami hits three, they're going to win?
I don't think it's that simple, because when you look at what they've shot in wins, 41% in their 13 postseason wins, they've shot 36% in their 7 postseason losses. Not a huge swing there. I think, to me, I'm keeping an eye on defense on behalf of both teams in this series. But when I look at what the Heat do, fundamentally, right, like, defense is always at the disadvantage because you're responding to the offense. And so I think if we look at Game 2, there's plenty of room for the Nuggets to get better. So will the Heat defense hold, and will it travel? Like, I think if they shoot 36% from three in this series, that's not a bad number as a team. But I just think it's going to be just as much about how they're able to defend Jokic, Murray, those guys in terms of slowing what the Nuggets do.
Since we're talking about shooting the three, Wendy, what about the status of Tyler Hero? There was a lot of talk that maybe in Game 2, possibly in Game 3. Where do we stand with him?
Yeah, this whole Heat playoff run has been bizarre, and here we have another bizarre situation. The Heat have a 20-point, $120 million player who was on the verge of returning, and the correct decision for them may not be to let him return. They have been awesome without him. They have activated Duncan Robinson. Gabe Vincent has been terrific getting extra minutes in the guard situation, but Hero has been having contact for the last week. He probably is about ready, and the Heat are kind of semi-bluffing. Eric Spoelstra won't tell you who's starting in 15 minutes, but he will tell you that Tyler Hero is getting close to playing, just so the Nuggets have to think about it. It's a big decision. He's a key player, but I don't know if they can bring him back right now and mess up their flow.
Yeah, it's interesting. This guy was a former sixth player of the year, sixth man of the year. He was their top scorer. I mean, they gave him a $120 million contract. It will be interesting to see the decision they make there. We're going to talk a lot about the NBA Finals here in this hour. But listen, it is a huge...
Frankie, I got a problem, though. I don't like the picture they drew up of you on ESPN2 currently. They gave you sideburns, but there's no hair on the top. And
look at your face, though.
they make you look angry, Frank, and I don't like that depiction of you.
Wait, I gotta tell you something. I'm Italian from the Bronx, so you gotta know that I have a temper sometimes.
What did I tell you? I told you exactly what I told you he was from New York, moved down to West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
He wants to hear Max Kellerman's voice screaming and hollering at the top of the show.
Right.
All for 4 hours.
Frank sounds like he's from my father's old neighborhood.
I already told you what it was.
Where are you from in the Bronx, Frank?
Harlem. Born and raised in Harlem. I wasn't raised. I was born in Harlem.
Yeah, but you said you were from the
You
Bronx.
said it from the Bronx, though. Are we from Harlem or from the Bronx?
I say I'm from. I'll put it this way.
Uh-oh.
I'm from the Bronx. How's that?
Okay, all right.
I don't know, Frank.
Born in Harlem.
Witness
but,
protection or something.
I don't know, Frank.
But reverse, he doesn't want to say where in the Bronx.
Wait a second. Harlem's in the Bronx.
Well, Frank, it may have been many years since you were in the Bronx.
No, I'm telling you, Harlem is in the Bronx.
Did Manhattan? He was there for some exchange in history that I'm not aware of, where where Manhattan took Harlem from the Bronx.
I'm not ready to argue with Frank about where he's from.
Yeah, Harlem's not in the Bronx.
The man says he's from Harlem/Bronx.
Really?
That's where the man is from.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. Hold it. I'm 70 years old. Wait a second. I'm 70 years old, and I'm serious. I never knew that. I thought Harlem was in the Bronx.
Well, there are parts of uptown Manhattan that are north of parts of the Bronx because of the shape of Manhattan and the Bronx, separated by a little sliver of water, basically. But Harlem is not in the Bronx. Frank, you see, and if we were just talking sports, Frank, you wouldn't even know that. You know where you're from. You didn't even know where you're from, and now you know because we got off of sports just for a minute. Just for a minute, Frank,
all right,
from West Palm Beach.
Before you guys let
By the way,
me go,
West Palm Beach is in Texas, isn't it?
Stop.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Leave Frank alone.
Listen, the other night, I watched it with my son who lives 70 miles from me. Long story short, that was one of the best games I've ever seen for the Heat, if you're a Heat fan. That was excellent. That's all I got to say.
All right. Frank says,
Frankie, thanks for calling in, Frankie.
I agree. That was a great game.
Thank you.
Great dramatic win for the Heat. Think of how much different this whole thing feels if they lose that game by Jamal Murray's three goes in, they wind up losing in overtime. Oh, they put up a good fight, but it's 0-2.
Took their best punch.
Yeah,
shot 50%
it's a
from the
wrap.
field.
No, they got out of there with a win.
3-point line. Yeah, they got the win. Now you're looking at the whole thing differently.
So anyway, back to J.J. Redick.
You mean back to Jay?
Jay Redick.
So what's the
two J's are better than one.
So annoying.
What's the issue with what he what's the issue with what he said on First Take? Is there an issue? Is there?
I guess Jay disagrees with it. What's the problem, Jay?
No, don't you set me up. Don't you start setting false narratives.
I think he made a good point. What do you think about it?
See, you're making me defensive. That's your strategy.
I heard his point before. I think he made a great point. I've already been educated on that before. Being out west and them in the same conference as the Lakers, I've already heard it from multiple people multiple times, including my co-host and Jay Will. So it's not new information to me.
But see, this is what Max does. Max likes to lean into these